Hey, it's Jenny at Launch My Biz Academy. Really glad to have you here today. What I want to talk about today and really dive into today is your pricing. How do you price your life coaching services? This is a point of a lot of challenge and pain and agony for a lot of people. A lot of life coaches who are in a side hustle looking to become the CEOs of their business are often really struggling with pricing. That's why I want to do this today. So, this is a good day to have a pen and paper handy so you can jot down some of the things I'm going to share with you. Some of these things are things that people haven't maybe even expressed to you, but they're critical when you're going from your side hustle to being the CEO of your business. So, here goes. Number one, the most important thing is if you're currently an employee, a full time employee at whatever company, and let's say you're making $20 an hour. I'm just using this as a number. You make $20 an hour. And when you're fed up with working for the man and you're going to go and do your own thing, you go and you start your business. You're super excited. You're buying this and you're getting that, and you're charging $20 an hour for your services. Well, maybe you raised it to $30 an hour. You're really, you're going to make some more money here in your business. Okay. So what's wrong with that strategy? Everything. Everything is wrong with that strategy. And here's why. When you're an employee, there's a whole lot of expenses that you never realize are required to have you as an employee. There are things like the utility bill, the rent, the health insurance, the subscriptions, the internet, the lights. All of these expenses are being paid somewhere, right? So when you're an employee at $20 an hour, that's the idea that you have of how much it costs to run your life, run your whatever. But when you become a business owner, everything changes. The most important thing that changes is you are now responsible. You're responsible to pay all of those expenses. You're now responsible. When you get a client, that client comes in at $100, let's say. You're now responsible for, out of that $100, you're responsible for paying $50 in rent. Ooh, that leaves you with $50 to do other things with. Then you're responsible for paying for $30 worth of subscription services. You have a financial management service. You have, what else do you have? I don't know. You have some proposal writing software. You have all these other expenses. So now you're down to what, 20 bucks, 30 bucks left out of that $100 that you just brought in. And so here's where this becomes a real challenge. Most of you have set prices based on your life as an employee, which is one of the reasons why you remain broke in your business. I hate to say it as bluntly as that, but I want to really get this clear. It took me a while, a long time ago, 12 years ago, when I first started my business. I was like, oh, I used to make whatever I made hourly. And so that's how I charged for my services. 1 hour of service was whatever, 50 bucks. Wow, people were snapping up my talent left and right. The reality was is I had not yet realized that it cost a lot of money to run a business, right? And a lot of money means that out of that $100 that I got for a client, I paid 50 or 60% of it to the overhead of the business before I ever got to have a profit set aside, before I ever actually got to pay myself. So that's the very first thing, is I want you all to look at, especially if you're still in a side hustle, I want you to look at how are you pricing your services. If you're pricing them based on the hourly rate you had as an employee, it needs to stop. So what's the solution? What's the rule of thumb? One rule of thumb is you can take your hourly rate. So let's say you were at $30 an hour in your business. I'm sorry, in your $30 an hour in your as an employee. And what you think about your business expenses, you can multiply that $30 by 3, factor of 3. And that gives you what, $90. So this is getting closer to what will it cost me to run my business and to make sure that I'm bringing in sufficient amount of revenue to cover the expenses of running this business. And so that's an easy rule of thumb. Okay. Take whatever your hourly rate was, multiply it by 3, and that gives you a nice baseline price. Okay. That's the first part. The second part is that we have to account for profit. Most of us don't account for profit. We think our orientation is to think about profit as any money left over after all the expenses have been paid. Well, there's a methodology called Profit First, and it's a book. You can get it, you can Google it, you can find it on Amazon. There's some YouTube videos about it. I love Profit First for business owners, for small business owners, because it does a couple of really powerful things. It forces us to actually segregate or segment out the expenses that it takes to run a business. So this particular methodology advocates on taking your profit first. So when you get that $100 client, when they pay their $100, you take and you allocate whatever your percentage is. If it's 20%, 50%, you allocate that 50% into an account that is nothing but profit. And that profit is not to be used to go and, put back into the business. No, the profit is just that. It's the icing. It's the candy. It's the fun stuff. It's the reason why you're in business. It's the money that allows you to take your family on a great vacation. So in the Profit First methodology, I think they asked to set up either 5 or 6 different kinds of bank accounts. The one I love is the profit, right? You have a profit account. When money comes in, the first thing you do is you sit down and you allocate it across the different accounts. You have your profit account, you have a compensation account, you'll have a tax account, you'll have an emergency fund or contingency fund, and I forget the other one. There's one other account. And then you have an operating account, which is how you run your business. I love that particular methodology because as money comes in, we're actually pulling it out and directly putting it into a special account, account that is set aside from everything else and doesn't get messed with. So that's a great methodology. So going back to profit, when you're creating your pricing, you have to also set aside money for profit. You have to include money in your price for your profit, right? Whether it's a percentage, in my business, we allocate a percent to every service that we render. There is a percentage that is just for profit. And because we've been doing business for so many years, there's also a percentage that we allocate for all overhead expenses. So if I look at my pricing model and what I want to invite all of you to do, you can start with what your base salary was, what your base hourly rate was as an employee, multiply that by 3. Okay, so let's say your hourly rate was $30 an hour, as I said earlier, multiplying that by 3, that's $90. And then let's say you have I'm going to not be able to do the math here, but you have a 50%, let's say you have a 50% markup on your services as your profit. So you multiply your 90 times that 50%. So now you're at 180. Okay. You're at 180. You've just doubled that. You're at 180. Now, the other thing that you may want to look at is what's the actual percentage it takes me to run my business? And then you multiply that in. That will give you a better target for how you want to price your services. Now, that's just kind of the foundation level of this conversation. There is another part of this conversation, which is, what is my value? How do I want to value my, if you have master's degrees, if you have so many years of experience, if you have specialized certifications, if you have a niche that not too many people have, that has a value to it. And really, you're the best person to value it. And what I would strongly encourage you is to definitely value it. So after you've gotten all these other these other components of your pricing structure put together, I want you to then look at who you are, what you've done professionally, where you've been, the kinds of impacts you've made in the world, and then attribute an additional, whatever the amount is to that you want. It could be $500. It could be $1,000. It could be $200. But I want you to think about the fact that if you're a life coach, you've lived life conceivably, right? If you're a life coach with a degree, that counts. If you're a life coach with a degree and certifications, that counts. If you're a life coach who has an HR background and you have certifications and degree, and you're focusing on being a life coach for people who are mid-career transitioners, that counts. And you have to include that in how you value your services. Okay. So the important thing is that to shift away from an employee mentality of an hourly rate, right, as a low hourly rate, shifting away from that, multiplying your current hourly rate if you're in a side hustle as a life coach, multiply that by a factor of 3. Then you take that, you identify what's the percent profit that you want to add to that. You include that number on that. You include that number, and then plus you figure out what is the percentage that I need to allocate towards a service to pay for my business, the business of running everything. And please, please, please include a salary for yourself and include salaries for anyone else you have in your business. We are broke all the time because we're not properly structuring our pricing. And then once we do properly structure our pricing, the next thing is to make sure we're identifying the people that can pay the price that we're asking. And we ask it unapologetically. Yes, not everyone's going to be our customers. It's okay. The people who need what we have, the people who need our genius, our brilliance, they're going to come. But we first have to be able to price ourselves correctly. Remember, this is also a transformational experience to set a money value to your time, energy, knowledge, wisdom, what have you. So I hope this was helpful. I hope that you're able to take this information in and go back and reevaluate your pricing. If you have a one-to-one coaching price and it's low, or an hourly rate and it's low, I would strongly encourage you to look at yourself, look at your experience set, look at what you used to make in whatever employer you currently work with or you used to work with, and really reevaluate your pricing. It's huge. It's so important in order to get paid your value, get paid your worth. So again, I'm Jenny, coming to you from Launch My Biz Academy. If you want more financial management strategies and techniques, I have a free profit checklist. It's a one-pager, has some great strategies to implement in your life coaching business so that you build a really strong and solid foundation. Super important. Your financial foundation of your business is critical. And some of us don't pay attention to it because we don't like math, or I'm not good at that. Listen, business is about money, and money is a beautiful thing because money is just a tool. Money is strictly a tool that allows us to do the things we want to do in the world, right? Money is a tool we need for vacation. Money is a tool we need for a lobster. Money is a tool we need for mortgage. Money is a tool we need to buy a car. Money is a tool to buy great shoes or whatever your thing is, right? Money is a tool to buy great art, right? So just again, money is just a tool. And so it's important to get really connected to money and understanding how money works in your business so that you aren't doing all this work and you're more broke than when you're working for a regular 9 to 5 for somebody else. So with that, again, I'm Jenny. If you want more information on financial management and structuring a really strong financial management platform or foundation for your business, make sure you download my free profit checklist and apply those strategies and techniques as soon as you can, and bring it back up and look at it again. Put another system in place. It will make your business stronger and better and more efficient. So with that, thank you again so much, and we'll talk to you soon.